You know, some songs are just tracks on an album, but then, every once in a while, you get a song that's more like an atmospheric event. That is absolutely the case with Bring Me the Horizon's 2013 masterpiece, Deathbeds. On the surface, yeah, it's a dark, intimate ballad. But just beneath that quiet surface, there's this turbulent story of obsession, disaster, and maybe even destiny. So, let's deconstruct it.
The song opens with this line. And wow, that is not romantic, it's traumatic. Right from the get-go, it frames love not as some kind of comfort, but as a catastrophe you just can't look away from. It's that morbid curiosity, right? Where we're literally programmed to stare at danger.
And that leads us to the big question of this whole breakdown. I mean, this is supposed to be a song about devotion, but it's built with metaphors of violence, medicine, and natural disasters. So to really get Deathbeds, we have to understand that contradiction. What is really going on here?
All right, to answer that, we've got to peel back the first layer, the lyrics. The song's power really comes from its shocking and visceral choice of words, which paints this picture of a love that feels just as dangerous as it is all-consuming.
And you can see this wild contrast right here. On one side, you've got the language of romance, a little kiss that holds heart and soul. But on the other side, you get the language of trauma, whiplash, a sudden, violent injury, and the plea to salt my wounds. I mean, a phrase that makes you feel intense, real pain. The song is constantly weaving affection and agony together.
And this isn't just poetic license, you know? The lyrics are actually pulling from specific scientific fields to describe this relationship. You see traumatology in Whiplash, predatory biology with I Watch You Like a Hawk, and even oceanography in the tides that pull the narrator back. This is a love described not with emotion, but with the cold, unchangeable laws of nature and science.
But listen, the words are only half the story. The next layer is the sound itself. The production and the sound design are so meticulously crafted to make you feel the song's themes of drowning and surrender. They built an entire sonic world here. Deathbeds really works as the album's atmospheric epilogue. It's not trying to hit you hard and fast. Its tempo is technically a speedy 160 BPM, but the way it's arranged makes it feel like a slow, half-time 80 BPM. It's this brilliant trick that creates a sense of floating, of being suspended in time and space, almost like you're weightless.
So, how did they pull off this underwater feeling? It is all in the details. The guitars aren't sharp. They're washed out in chorus to sound liquidy. The kick drum isn't a punch, it's this deep, subaquatic heartbeat. Even the hi-hats are programmed with a negative swing to feel like they're dragging you down. Literally every sound is designed to create this immersive, liquid environment.
And get this whole sonic journey is even mapped out across the frequency spectrum. The really deep sub-bass frequencies, that represents the body being pulled down. The mid-range, where the vocals are, represents emotion and consciousness, and then those airy, high frequencies represent the soul, or transcendence. The song literally guides you from the physical to the spiritual.
And then, of course, there are the vocals. Now, this is not a traditional duet where you have two distinct voices singing back and forth. No way. Ollie's voice is processed to sound like it's dissolving, while Hannah's is mixed to be this ethereal echo. They're fused into a single entity, almost as if she's the voice inside his head, an internal resonance rather than an external partner. And that right there brings us to what might be the most crucial layer of this whole thing, the real-life story behind the song. That fusion of voices, it wasn't just an artistic choice. It was a reflection of a real-life bond between the vocalist Ollie Sykes and his then-partner Hannah Snowdon.
The key to really unlocking this song comes down to a few crucial details. Deathbeds was a bonus track on the 2013 album Sempiternal, and that female voice, it isn't some session singer, it's Hannah Snowdon, a tattoo artist, and Sykes' actual girlfriend at the time. And that context, well, it changes everything.
This timeline really puts the song into perspective. It was released in 2013, right at the peak of their romance. They got married 2 years later in 2015, but by 2016, they were divorced amid accusations of infidelity. And suddenly, the fatalism baked into the song feels tragically prophetic.
So, here's the absolute game changer. By featuring Hannah on the track, the song stops being a fictional story and becomes a documented pact. It's a real-time audio snapshot of their intense and, as it turns out, very fragile relationship. It's a confession, sealed in sound. Okay, so now we can finally put all the pieces together. The violent lyrics, that drowning sound, and the real-life context.
What emerges is this powerful psychological portrait of something called addictive transfer.
Addictive transfer is a concept from recovery psychology. Basically, it's when the compulsive patterns, the obsession, and the dependency of a substance addiction get redirected onto a new target. And in this case, that target is a person. The hunger, as the lyrics call it, doesn't just go away. It finds a new home.
And the song maps this process out perfectly. First, you've got this huge void left by addiction. Then, a new object of obsession appears, the person with eyes like a car crash. And finally, total devotion to that person becomes a new kind of salvation, a new higher power that gives life meaning, even if it's destructive.
This connects directly to the album's main theme. Sempiternal is famously about Ollie Sykes' journey through rehab and recovery from a severe ketamine addiction. After rejecting traditional religion, this all-consuming love for Hannah became his new reason for being, his new and just as intense dependency.
So where does that leave us? When we look back with the knowledge of everything that happened next, what is Deathbeds really about?
Here it is, the final takeaway. Deathbeds isn't a simple love song. It is the sound of two people caught in a cycle of codependency, a relationship so powerful and all-consuming that they mistook its intensity for fate. They weren't just lovers, they were fellow passengers in a beautiful shipwreck. There is one year that just hangs over this song like a shadow. 2016, the year of their divorce. The destructive nature described in the lyrics, the storm, the car crash, the sinking waves, it all ultimately became the reality of their relationship. And that brings us back to one of the song's most haunting lines, whispered by both of them. It's this shared acknowledgement of their mutual destruction. Turns out, it wasn't just a metaphor. It was a tragically accurate prediction of their shared downfall. Which leaves us all with one final, lingering question. In the case of Deathbeds, was the art a prophecy of a future that was bound to happen? Or was it simply a perfect, devastating reflection of a reality that was already underway?